Well, praise the Lord.
Amen.
Well, I'm happy to be here today. I'm happy to be in this fellowship. Like I always say, I'm always looking forward to this coming together. And thank you, of course, our hosts for having us. Now, my testimony, Brother Castens, you always tell us that it's called modus operandi or operandi. Modus operandi. That is
Is that
the
English?
way of that's the way that's the
That
way
is English.
someone's or rather
Yeah.
a particular way that things work.
In short, the SOPs.
Yeah, the SOPs. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Now, this is having people in my house had become that for me now. It become my modus operandi. So it's been lonely since my boys went to school, and it's been a bit difficult. So my testimony starts at church on Sunday. I left church at 1 after the first service, and I normally stay until there is the switch, and we will come back home at around 5 or 6 in the evening. So this time I left early. I decided to come home, and we left with you, Isaac.
Yeah.
But before we left church, I told Isaac to do me a favor and pay for my internet. All right? What happened is they dropped me at Karen, and I'm just in a hurry to get home. But before I left the church completely, the girl that I'm referring to, Lois called me aside from the church and told me we need to go aside and talk. So we went and talked, and she ended up giving me her number, which I saved. All right? On the WhatsApp profile picture of Lois, there is Bishop Rutivi and a Bible verse. That Bible verse is 1 Peter chapter 4, verse, I think, 8, which says, verse 7 and 8, which says, the end of all things is near. Therefore, be alert and of sober mind, so that you may pray. Above all, love each other deeply, because love covers a multitude of sins. Offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. All right, that's where it ends. That's the scripture that Bishop has on the WhatsApp profile of that lady. So I read it while coming home, and I alight here at Myers. Then I'm walking home, and I get to Precious Blood Reruta down here. Then I find a man who is almost dying. He's just shaking on the ground. He can't talk. He can't do anything. And people are just looking at him and passing. I also passed. But after I had moved, I remembered this verse, the one on the status on the profile of this lady. So I go back, and I try to talk to him. He can't talk because there's no saliva in the mouth. The tongue is stuck. He's barely breathing. So I rushed to the shop and bought a packet of milk. I came, and I'm the one who held it in his mouth, squeezed it, and he drank. The first words he uttered to me when his tongue was detached were, Mungu akuzidishie mara 70. Yes, he had not eaten for 4 days. He was coming from Kadhiani, some place in Ukambani, and people waylaid him at country bus. They stole from him and beat him. They tied him with ropes and later released him. So he had started walking from town, going to what is it called? Subukia in Nakuru. So he's going to Subukia, but he has lost all energy and he's collapsing here. Yeah,
So alikuwa amefika hapa akitembea.
Yes.
Ametoka wapi?
Town.
Lakini Subukia. Oh, anataka kuelewa.
He wants to use the shortcut to find, I don't know which routes, and he gave me the description. I didn't get it.
So he has walked from town.
Yes. So this man has gone to all police stations on the way, and they tell him he needs to submit a phone number that they can call, but he doesn't have any. So they cannot have him because they said atakufia kwa cell. That's what they told him. So I give him milk, he drinks. Another lady graciously offers to buy him a half a loaf of bread and he eats.
Mm.
Then when he's now able to sit up, I told him, I don't have any money, but let's go to my house.
Mm.
My house is close by, so I told him, can you walk? He said yes. So let's go to my house. So I take him to my house, and he's smelling terribly bad because he has not showered. He's really dirty. And I take him to my house, and I take his clothes and keep them outside the house. And then I take him to the shower. He showers. I cooked and served him ugali and some greens. He ate. And I put on some movie for him to watch. He was very happy. Enjoyed the whole time. And by 6 p.m., I set up a place for him to sleep in my sitting room. This man shared countless Bible stories. He was telling me about Lazarus and the rich man. He said Lazarus was suffering like I was suffering, but the rich man went to hell and he went to heaven. So he was telling me those stories.
Yeah.
Then I got to the house, I served him, and then you remember his prayer, may you receive 70 times more. I had asked this guy to pay for my internet. My internet is how much? 1,500. So Isaac sends me 3,000. All right, I'm in my bedroom. I'm in my bedroom, and this guy is sleeping in my sitting room. So I'm like, okay, God, you are speaking.
The
You are
blessings
speaking.
are already coming
Because
in.
the prayer I made while I was taking this guy home, I said, God, I'll give him what I have. But if really this guy is in need, you make a way for him to get where he's going. So I expected, where do I get money for his transport? Then this guy sends me double. He sends me double my internet cost. So the next morning, I wake him up. I give him 600 shillings, and I pay for his bus fare to town. But the thing that guy didn't stop asking me. He asked me countless times. He was asking, do you mean, okay, he was asking in Swahili, unamaanisha hautokangi kanisa hiyo masaa? Namwambia, yes, mimi inatokanga saa 12. That is not my time to come home.
Ulikuja mapema.
But I felt I needed to go home that time. You remember I was to remain at church.
Yes.
Then I said, let me catch up with you. Grace dropped me at Karen. So I was in a hurry to get home, but with no particular reason. So when I took this guy at the stage, everybody was wondering, unapeleka mtu mwenye hujui kwako?
Wapi?
Akitana against you.
Yeah, turn against you or anything. I said there are so many people that could turn against me. But this one, I passed him. God spoke to me through the WhatsApp profile of, anything from Bishop, I would follow it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? And this is an explicit message. Continue to practice charity and hospitality. So I meet somebody that needs hospitality, terribly hungry. I go to the house and give him my clothes. He went wearing my clothes. And in the morning, I told him, today, I'm not even serving you breakfast. I bought bread. Here's milk. You will take this on your way home. But I want you to pray for me. Him to pray for me. Yeah, so I told him to pray for me. He said a wonderful prayer, but in Kikamba. He was praying in his mother tongue. But I didn't know his number.
How old is he? Does he look like?
He's this is Thomas Mutinda.
Huh?
That's
Yeah. Nice.
yeah. Now this is
Maybe God is communicating something. Because he's the one who alipata sija, I don't know, a guy who
I don't know what God is telling you. We can now meet this one of yours.
so.
Ulipata mwingine wewe lakini wewe pia Mungu alikutumia mwingine wa kusaidia huko bypass.
Yeah. So
You are returning the favor.
yeah, I think what now for me, what I was seeing.
What's your own in all these?
Yo yako ni
Give us
calling.
your own.
He again
What-
calling.
Yo yako ni calling, my friend.
Let's
Yeah,
hear what you tell us.
What I was seeing here to help someone is not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I had to ask him kindly to allow me to treat his items as dirty because the clothes are smelling, the shoes are smelly, and I don't want to offend him. But I told him, brother, I have to keep them outside. Yeah, please allow me because they don't smell nice. I told him the truth. Let me keep them outside. I'll give you other clothes to wear. I gave him a new towel to use. I gave him a space to shower, and then I gave him food to eat. And I gave him a movie to watch.
I know.
The way I would be thinking kwanza huyu nikimpeleka kwa nyumba na nipinduke.
Yeah, so normally there is that thought. But you see, when God has spoken to you, especially through a direct Bible verse that comes to you, Lois is not my friend as at now. All right? We are not very close friends. We didn't talk about anything important. You get? She just called me aside and said, how much would it cost to get a house around where you stay? That was the only question. I told her there's a range of bed sitters from this much to this much. And then Isaac was living in Greska. So I have to go. I tell Lois, give me your number. We will finish on the phone. Right? So I save the number, and behold, there is Bishop TV with a Bible verse. So I read it and I internalize that word. Then I come home. Then I meet this gentleman.
Hearing God.
He's the one leading service.
Yeah.
So maybe brother Castins and pastor and everybody else. It was God speaking. Me running away from the afternoon switch.
You ran from the afternoon switch to go and
I didn't stay. I didn't know why. I just ran away. I needed to get home quickly.
That was God.
Yes. And surprisingly, the last bit of the surprise is, you see, I didn't have money. That's the only money I had. 100 bob. That's the only money I had in my pocket coming back home. So I spent 60 of it to buy milk. So I'm left with 40 bob. So I buy airtime for the 40 bob. So I have no money. Then I get to the house. Because the boys left and went to school, I've not been feeling like cooking. So I bought mboga skuma wiki, and they have been staying there for 2 days, not cooked. Right? So I have vegetables. I have everything in the house that needs to be cooked. But I have not just had the psyche to cook. So this time I have a hungry person to feed.
So you have to cook.
And I have what needs to be cooked. And then this gentleman sends me money. So we share the extra money. I pay for the internet. And then we share the extra money. I keep some for my transport throughout the week. And I gave him transport to go back to Nakuru.
Wow.
And the prayer he made was powerful. Because he was telling God, I even don't know this young man. No, I asked him to
The
translate.
spirit you can understand.
I asked him to translate. I told him, can you tell me what you are praying for? And then he told me he's just surprised that I normally don't leave that church at that time.
Then number 2 in Nairobi. Where in Nairobi?
In Nairobi.
Be accommodated.
Yeah.
Even your own relatives unawahepanga.
Yeah,
I'm
he
telling
he
you.
actually said that part. He said he's been going to people who speak Kikamba. And they tell him they also have their own problems. And that is how he ended up falling by the roadside. And he was just rubbing his stomach when we got there. Sunken, completely sunken. And he couldn't speak. The tongue is stuck on the mandibles. Like he can't open the mouth. Dry. So I had to squeeze the milk in there and push the milk packet, and he swallowed the first gulp and then said, Mungu akuongezee mara 70. So that's my testimony. And I pray that we can always hear God.
Yeah.
Endelee tu kutembea kwa hizi